This video about whole numbers is looking at strategies for problem solving. Problem solving in real life. In real life, maths doesn't present itself as a list of calculations on a worksheet. Often what you need to do is to work out what the calculation that you're required to do is first, and then you actually need to do it. So how to approach a maths problem? The first thing to do is to read the information, and don't forget to look at any diagrams or anything else that might accompany the information. Try to work out what calculation or calculations you need to do. Now, there might be some keywords, and we'll look at some examples of them in a minute. Then you need to do what I call translate from English into maths. So write out the calculation or the calculations that you need to do. Don't be afraid to use words or diagrams to explain or clarify the calculations if needed. So make sure that your working out clearly shows what you're doing and what the numbers represent. Then you actually need to do the calculations, either in your head using mental strategies or using your calculator. And you need to clearly state not just the answers, but what numbers you used and what operations you used to get to the answers. Then you need to check your answer. You need to think, is it reasonable? Have you ended up with an appropriate number? If your answer was something like, how much bread does a family of 4 need for a week, and you were given some information, and your answer was that they need 7,659 loaves of bread for 1 week, then that makes you think, perhaps I've done something wrong with my calculations, because that is just completely unreasonable. So you need to check your answer and think, does it make sense? Is it reasonable? Does it fit the context of the question? Then you need to do what I call translating back from maths into English. And by saying that, I mean you need to answer in a sentence. So once you've finished your calculations, look at your number and then write the answer in a sentence that answers the question that was asked originally in the problem. Not only is this good practice because it's a good way of working, but it also allows you to check that you've answered the question that was asked. For example, sometimes you might be asked, you might work out most of a question, but you might have to do one little bit at the end, like the question might say, if all of these things happen, how much paint will be left over from this much? And you might work out how much paint is needed, but forget to do the subtraction to work out how much is left over. So by having to write that in a sentence, it just forces you to go back and check, have you actually answered the question that was asked? Some words that mean operations to look for in the questions that might help you work out what calculations. So if it's addition, so that's the plus, then you might be asked to work out the sum or add or total or altogether. For subtraction, which is often that dash sign, you might find the words difference, less than, minus, take away. Multiplication might be as a cross or as a little star or asterisk. Product, how many times more, how many lots of, or times. Division is that sign with the line and the 2 dots, or else you can see it as written as the slash, like a fraction. And the words that can apply to that, a quotient goes into split between, shared between, words like that. So in summary, you need to practice using your maths skills in real life situations. There's no single perfect way to approach a problem. Often many strategies will work depending on the situation.